So today I'm going to try to use my 3D printer to fix itself. What I mean by this is I'm going to use the 3D printer to print some of the repairs it actually needs. This is because my 3D printer has a very unique problem that presented itself. To tell you about the full extent of the problem, let's go back a little bit. So 3 nights ago I was printing this thing. For those who are on printables a lot, you'll recognize this right away. This is a part of the prusa caster because I'm planning on making a prusa caster. Around 3 a.m. something happened. I got the beeping noise and I woke up from my slumber, came here and saw that the printer was telling me there was no filament. Here was the issue though, there was filament. So the sensor for filament run out was activating out of place. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning, I didn't really want to do it too much. So I kind of did the emergency print method of fixing this issue, which is I basically turned the sensor off and let it print. Essentially what I knew at that point was that my filament sensor was broken, but not completely. There was something off about it. So after the emergency print was completed, I have this. I didn't have to waste my print because on emergency settings where you turn the sensor off, the filament was still going to finish. But it was kind of weird that the filament run out sensor was not working when every other sensor was working. So something was off, but it was kind of a weird problem. So I went on Prusa's website and asked their chat service to see if they can help me out. They kept telling me there's an issue with the IR sensor, so I checked all of that, and to be honest, it didn't really net me any insight or anything like that. I cleaned the area, recalibrated it basically 300 different times. I was at the step when I was supposed to take the extruder apart to see what was broken, when I realized I had found the problem. And it's kind of a really weird issue as well. But it's because of this weird issue that I'm in a fortunate position where I can use the 3D printer to print repairs for itself. What happened is there was a hole where the filament is fed through on the prusa. It's deformed. The filament is supposed to go directly into the hole and touch on the printer's sensors, which tell you that yes, there's filament coming through here. That part is deformed and it's actually pushing the filament to the side. And when this happens, the printer thinks, oh, I'm out of filament, and there's no filament there. It must have run out. And that's why it shuts itself down, beeps, and requests for new filament. I came to this conclusion not because of Prusa's help service, because they couldn't actually tell me what was going on. I came to this myself because I realized that when printing, at specific angles, when the printer was moving, the sensor's values would change from 0 to 1. The minute it moves to the right, it changes to 1, and when it moves back, it changes to 0. So 1 and 0. 1 onto the right, and 0 on the left. The only reason this is working currently is I have actually turned the filament run out off. Otherwise, I couldn't print anything at all. If I put this in here, if I leave it right there, it's 0. If I push this, now it's 1. 0, 1. 0, 1. It seems like for however this happened, the hole has enlarged. And if it's perfectly centered, it works out well. If it's to the side, it doesn't. So it was definitely a directional issue, and there was definitely a deformation issue. So at this point, we have a very, very unique position on our hands, because basically I am in a fortunate position where the printer can still work, so it can still print, and I can print something that'll make it go back to 100% working order. That's what we're going to do today. So we're going to print the repairs for the printer. Now, the parts that the Prusa originally comes with, I don't know what material they are. I'm pretty sure it's ABS. I don't really have anything there. However, I did buy this, which I was actually planning on using for the Prusa caster. The Prusa caster has a center part that requires it to be a little bit more stiffer, and they said that you can use PLA carbon fiber to make it better, but online, from what I gather, PETG is just better in every aspect. So I chose a very dark green filament that's made out of PETG Plus from Just Maker that I really liked. I think this would also be a really good thing to replace the Prusa parts with. Later on in the video, I'll tell you what I think has caused that issue to happen. And these are the two pieces we need to print because those are the two that are broken. I'm adding a little bit of support material here specifically just because I want it to be perfectly flush and I want it to be really, really, really flat. Actually, let me rearrange it maybe this way so they're not touching each other. And even at 100% infill, it's only going to take around 44 minutes because they're just very small pieces. PETG Plus. So this is not bad at all for a prusa that is currently just hanging on by a thread. And this is the inner piece. There's a bit of stringing here, but nothing end of the world or anything like that. Alright, and I guess that means it's time to start taking it all apart. 3 screws. Got it. screw number 1 right over here. Then we got 2 things in the front here. And screws 3 are these ones here. Okay, from what I gather online, the first thing to do that I haven't done is to also just take the entire fan off. It came off! So, I need to just make this go upwards and voila! Nice! Oh, I thought that was gonna be way more difficult. Okay. Out with the old, into the new. And now I'm gonna put this right here. After adjusting this just a little bit off. Let's see if it works. Do this. This part is loose, not too tight. The magnet's pushing in place, and filament goes through. That is excellent. So this guy was the problem, because I put this through here, and I do this. It's very wiggly, whereas this one is not. Just to drive the point home and put them side by side, you can kind of tell that this is a circle right here, and this one, there's like a point right here where it's like coming off. Okay, we didn't have to disassemble everything, that's perfect. And now I just get to screw everything back together and hopefully everything will stay in place. And finally, we're also going to replace this one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to filament sensor. I'm going to turn filament sensor on, and then I'm going to go back to main and go to support, sensor info. There we go. If I do this, well, it changed, so it definitely detected something. And it went to 0 again. Previously when I did this, and I moved this around, it would actually change from 1 to 0. So now I'm changing it around and the numbers stays at 1, which means this was definitely the issue previously. It's not moving at all. Take it off, goes back to 0. Now, if you watched this far into the video and you are wondering what set all of this off, well, I can tell you right now, it was from using this little guy here. I'm gonna do a review for this product next because, oh boy, did I have some issues with it. This is how many hours this prusa has survived with me. Okay, we got the last thing to do, which is to recalibrate everything. There is a slight enclosure change here. I've decided to get these stools from Canadian Tire. They were having a sale on these things. They were $8 a piece. Fits perfectly. Doesn't move. It's like being on the floor, but, you know, much better. Turning on. 3.13.3. Calibration. Wizard. Okay, let's hope it all works out. Oh shoot. You know what I didn't do? Oh, why did I forget this one thing? Oh my god. God damn it. I forgot one last thing to do. I forgot to shut this thing off. Now before I shut it off, I should probably check for alignment as well. And I'm gonna say, no, hopefully now actually hold it down. And it does. And now, finally, after all of that, it's time for proper calibration. Zigzag pattern time. No thanks. All is done. Happy printing. Oh my god, I've never been so happy to see those layers. Alright. Printer fixed. Well, printer fixed using itself.